Robb Stark with the wolf on his head, and I said, if you get a wolf head and I lose a tourney, I will wear it, and then you can sing "Here Comes the King of the North."
Oh my god!
If Brian does that, and I'm willing, I will do it. I will do it, Brian. Someone bring the wolf mat, a wolf head or whatever. Not a real wolf head, but someone bring a wolf head. I will wear it if I lose.
That's funny.
It's your dream.
Go on Facebook. Let's see if Facebook works. Facebook. Where is the Facebook? A lot of. We got Terrence. Let's roll. What's up, Terrence? Welcome to the live show on BehindTheIronThrone.tv. I'm just trying to see what's going on with the Facebooks.
Hasn't started yet.
Yeah, that's very frustrating. Facebook. Trent says, hi, Chloe.
Trent, I'm going to the chat right now. I'm getting there.
Emily says, hi, guys. Yeah, that's BehindTheIronThrone.tv. Where is my Facebook? We just fixed this, too, the other day. Hi, Trin. Trin says hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Trin.
Trin.
Tell Jacob I said hi.
All right. So the live isn't working on the
Again?
Facebook.
Oh my god.
Yeah, again. Again. That is very, very sad. Page request cannot be displayed right now. Maybe temporarily unavailable. All right.
Did it work Tuesday?
No, it's set for the right day.
No, did it work Tuesday? I said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It worked. Yeah, I could make a new room real quick, but Facebook makes me you have to like wait 10 minutes for a scheduled thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post in here. I'm just going to post real quick in the Facebook that they have to go to YouTube or go to Get Vocal. Oh, what a shame. So just give me a moment and then we'll fix that. So this is why, Chloe, you shouldn't go live.
Oh, we learned. Ice and FireCon. Don't worry. We got there.
All right, let's see here. There is the post. And it is right there. All right. Show, never get to YouTube or to Facebook. Now on behind IronThrone.tv. Spell it right, that would be great. Yeah, and it's funny because they were in here helping us the other night, trying to fix it. It's actually Facebook. They keep switching the streaming keys, and they're not telling anybody. This is. It's not Get Vocal's fault. It's actually theirs.
That makes sense.
Big Bad Brad says, John, all you need is a recliner.
Just wait. He's gonna do his Jon Snow brooding. It's perfect. You're doing great, John.
He's my boy. He's my boy, man. He's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's pretty good as a favorite character. Too bad they turned him into an extra.
Right.
A very high-paid extra, though.
I mean,
you a high-paid extra, John.
So I'm just gonna keep. I'm just gonna keep an eye on the Facebooks. Well, they. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. All right. Let's just get this party started.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones podcast.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Well, hello. Welcome back to Behind the Iron Throne. I'm your host, Chris Gray, and I'm joined tonight by a great panel of Game of Thrones enthusiasts as we review Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells, again, not only with my great co-host, but also with you guys, the community. We're going to try to read as many questions as we can. This is going to be a show not just for you, but also our special guests, which we'll get to in a moment. Just want to remind everybody that we record live at BehindTheIronThrone.tv, and sometimes when Facebook actually freaking works, we're on Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. And we encourage you to join our Behind the Iron Throne Facebook group, BTIT. That's right, I said it. BTIT. Get over there and join the club. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host. His name is Jonathan Stoma, Stark Lover. What's up, pal?
I'm doing great, Chris. I'm doing great.
It's going to be a fun episode. And I forgot to mention, everybody, a really cool platform that we're using right now is GetVokl.com. You can go to the App Store and get it, or you can go, iTunes or Android, or use your Chrome browser, and you can join us live as well. If you're watching live on the YouTube and you want to stick with us after the show stops broadcasting live, go over to Get Vocal, where we kind of hang out a little bit longer for like a little after show. That's the only way we can do that right now. GetVokl.com, or the app available on both platforms. Next up, we have a very special guest who we've had on the podcast before, but I got to meet her at Ice and FireCon. Had a lot of fun. I didn't get to drink with her as much as I wanted to, but it's okay, because we have the lovely and talented, the amazing, the all-knowing Chloe from the Girls Gone Canon podcast. Woo! Here.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. It was great getting to hang out with you guys at Ice and FireCon, though very short-lived. As you said, we will have to make up for the lack of drinking next year. Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. So real quick, in the chat, we have Terrence, yay, Emily, Trin, our very own Dovahkiin from the podcast. We have Drunk, a Song of Ice and Fire history.
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Never mind, that's Chloe. And we have Cash, a couple other people. Just pop in the live and say hi, and we'll give you a shout out. In the Get Vocal, we have Gabe, and we have Big Bad Brad. So we're about to get this party started right here. You guys pop in your questions during the show. We'll try to answer them. But first, I want to know, Chloe, so far overall, what do you think so far of Game of Thrones Season 8? Just like an overview.
Oh, man. What do I think? Well, I like it for the most part, I guess. I think the pacing's weird. I think I was telling you guys earlier when we were chatting before, I think we could have accomplished last season and this season in one 10-episode season. But I get it. They wanted to be cinematic. They wanted to go all out. Lots of really cool effects. The actors are acting their asses off. They are just killing it. Emilia Clarke, Maisie Williams, Sophie Turner, whatever they give Kit Harington, he's doing. Sometimes it's like just go get a coffee kit, but he's there. And, I don't know. It's a good season, though. I think a lot of it is kind of what I thought would happen. Each episode kind of solidifies the end game. And overall, I think it's a solid enough season. It's entertainment. It's TV. And someday the books will come out.
Terrence says, do you guys feel like they're setting up Jon versus Grey Worm? And let's go with Chloe first, and then I'll ask Jon.
Yeah, Terrence, I think so. I don't know to what extent. I don't think it's going to be like a crazy, big, bad, like all-out showdown, but I definitely think there's going to be more tension. That moment last episode in The Bells where they kind of were looking at each other and Grey Worm was like, am I going to have to cut this guy? Yeah, I think there's something set up there.
I want to welcome Jack in the Box into the chat. Yay, you made it to BehindTheIronThrone.tv. Jon, what do you think? Do you believe that we're going to get a Jon versus Grey Worm fight?
Yes, and I agree with Julie from last episode. There's going to be a trial because I think Tyrion's going to go on trial for releasing Jaime. So it's going to be in the Dragon Pit. I think it's going to be Jon defending Tyrion against Grey Worm, and Grey Worm doesn't stand a chance because Jon's going to easily kill Grey Worm.
Trin, our very own Trin from the podcast says, Jon Snow literally knows nothing and says nothing and does nothing.
Stop, Trin. You're trying to bait me into something here.
Oh, you're
Trin's
baited.
trying to bait me into this.
Oh, you're baited.
Okay. Jon is the best. Okay, he's the best. He's gonna make Westeros right again. He's the perfect. He's the best.
Are you really going there?
Yes, he's the best king for Westeros. Okay.
Yes,
funny.
the king that wants nothing to do with the kingdom. And we saw how good that went the last time we had a king who didn't care, like Robert Baratheon.
Well, this time Jon's just gonna break it up and go to the north and reunite with his boy Tormund and the Ghost.
Oh yeah, for
Oscar,
sure.
Oscar says, I'm here and staying away from Grey Worm's spear. Taintly Faded, welcome to the show. And you, of course, Oscar. Why does everyone think there will be a trial? When has Dany ever held one?
Because Tyrion. Go, Cole. You can go.
He's had 2 trials already, so I understand that like people think it's going to be rule of third, especially after what happened last episode. So I can totally see where people think that. But I also know there was like production that was done in the Dragon Pit, but that doesn't mean it's something real. That could be fake because they have filmed 2 or 3 different endings. They did film 2 or 3 different endings.
Has Dany now? I don't remember if she's ever done this in the books. I don't think so, but she's never given anyone a trial, right? Dany herself.
Not particularly.
Not in the show.
She goes right to execution.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she.
Marine with what's his name? Jeff says, "Do you think Dany is going to be poisoned, a la Joffrey, from for the poison from the Varysene, and that little girl? Do you guys think that that's a possibility that she's been poisoned?"
I think he was trying to poison her. I think we were led to believe the last episode because why would he have a kitchen girl asking about food and stuff if not for that?
Now, Ashley Jordan, welcome to the show. Yay, Ashley's here. Why would she give a trial after just executing so many without a trial? Well, that's kind of what we're talking about, right? I don't know. Maybe it's a gesture in front of the crowd. Like she already instilled fear in him. Now she kind of, okay, if I just did what she did and I'm trying to, I don't know, balance it out a little bit, although I know that's not anywhere near being balanced. The first thing I would do is maybe a public trial right in the square, or maybe it's her. Maybe it's not a trial at all. Maybe, Tyrion's standing out there and Dany's like, come here. Well, remember I told you if you failed again, you're toast. Drogon, come here. Come over here. Yep, here you go. Have a goat. And Dracarys, and then he's fucking toast. And then Jon Snow flips shit. Then Arya shows up to stab Jon Snow, and then I'm sorry, hold on, I got that wrong. So Arya shows up to stab Dany. Jon Snow defends Dany because that's my queen, and I'm going to be blindly do whatever she says, and then they have a fight. That's one of my predictions. A little off the rails there.
I'm team no trial. We'll see next week. On Monday, text me, you guys. We'll have a group chat about this. But I'm team no trial. I don't think Tyrion won't get a trial, but I think he's definitely going to get imprisoned.
Rob is asking, is there volume control here in Vocal? I think it's only through the browser. Like if you're on the app, you have to do it on your phone, the regular rockers. If you're on a computer, you have to do it through your computer. Like it's through the browser. So whatever your computer level is at.
I think there's a trial.
Cash is saying mass execution in the Dragon Pit.
There's a scene in the Dragon Pit. That's all I know. I don't know what it could be, but there's a scene. Because I don't think I've seen the set photos for the Dragon Pit. The only set, I think they fooled everyone by doing the set photos of Jon and Cersei walking around. And I posted that on our Behind Iron Throne, and that was a fake out. So, and I think there's another set photo of Bronn with a scorpion on the battlements, and I think that was a fake out too. So, but because we haven't seen a Dragon Pit, the photos, I think there's going to be something in the Dragon Pit. I'm hoping trial by combat.
Just to give you some production, my debate back via production is I've seen those photos, and there was no green screen involved in the Dragon Pit. And it was like very simple. Like there was no extra production pieces and there was a very limited crew. And I think that's a fake out.
Well, they've been known to do it.
And I mean, it makes sense because they've had different fake outs for like all the big ones, right? Like Cersei, Jon, Tyrion. I mean, and Tyrion is one of those that George has said it's his favorite, and Arya is his wife's favorite. So he's not allowed to kill Arya or Tyrion.
And he can't kill Tyrion now. That would kill the Lannister line. And I doubt they're not killing any lines, so except for the Tyrells.
Who knows?
And the Martells. So
Jack in the Box says, how would Danny know about Tyrion's betrayal? And I would say because he did command the Unsullied guarding Jaime's little tent to get out of there. Yeah. And then he just disappeared.
And he was also very rude and racist towards the Unsullied.
Yes, he is, right?
Just saying. They'll remember him.
Yeah, they're not going to forget that anytime soon.
He's unforgettable.
Ashley saying she better be like, my bad guys got a little carried away, got my Snickers now, I'm good. That's funny you mentioned that because I think it was Shayna in our Get Vocal or somebody on one of the chats that was mentioning that maybe Danny she was hungry because she hasn't been eating.
Eat a Snickers, Danny.
Eat a Snickers, right?
Well, that's something interesting too. So for some of you that might not know the history of in like the book lore, Danny's dad, the Mad King, Aerys, he got taken hostage in Duskendale, a place in King's Landing area in the Crown Lands. And basically he was held captive there for 6 months. Like they kind of tortured him and were cruel to him. And he was already a little cray, right? Like he wasn't full cray, but he was already kind of like, people are awful because his son Rhaegar he thought he was trying to take his throne, and Tywin was a dick. Tywin was his hand of the king, and so Aerys like came back from Duskendale. Barristan the Bold actually saves him and like brings him out, and this is like 277 AC, back in the 70s. Yeah. Back in the 70s. This is back in the 270s, and he never trusted again after that, and he lets his nails grow super long, and he lets his hair grow tangled and long, and won't let anyone in a room with him with swords. Which callback, Cersei does that with Tommen after Joffrey dies. You know, she won't allow swords near Tommen. But yeah, so it's kind of almost like they're paralleling that, especially with that scene where she's staring out the window. Her hair's all unkempt. Girl doesn't have her shape tape concealer on. She lost it, you know.
Yeah, I said on the show that trauma triggers the madness in Targaryens. You know,
I don't think Danny's mad though. And Big E says, "Good evening, Reavers. What's up, Big E?"
I mean, I don't know if she's mad or not. We'll know the next episode, but you know, the Mad King. He was also allegedly raped too. That's me and Andrea talked about that, but that's
every time Aerys performed a burning, he would go to Rhaella, his wife's room.
Yeah, because he needed the manhood back, right? Because he had been raped by some guy.
Horny. That was the thing. He was horny because he just burnt a lot of people. So that kind of, I'll give it that. They should have flipped that scene with Danny and Jon. They should have had her try to come on to him first, you know, and then her be like, I'm all alone. But whatever. They could always ask, you know, people other than themselves.
Catherine says 15 watching and only 2 likes. Thank you so much for the like, Catherine. You're awesome. Terrence says, so is Sansa supposed to be a protagonist here? She was certainly a major reason why Danny did what she did. What is her plan or scheme, Chloe?
Sansa is really just protecting her family. I mean, Sansa, does not want the throne. That's not what she wants. She will not be on the Iron Throne. People are like, Queen Sansa. And well, I personally love it because she would be the best queen ever. Loving cakes for everybody. I digress. It's not what she wants. She wants home. She wants all of her family safe, and she wants Winterfell to be safe. I mean, they've actually done a really good job of writing Sansa this season. So thankfully they gave her all those political lessons in season 5.
This is why I love Chloe.
But
because she loves Sansa just like I do.
She's the best. Anyways, the show.
Well, she'd be queen in the north.
they screwed her so bad in the show.
She has done a phenomenal job through growth.
Yeah, season 7 and 8 alone. I mean, Sansa is concerned about, what did she say to Danny? What do your dragons eat? Guess what? Danny's sitting there that day going, they're hungry. They've already had 18 goats and they can't keep eating more. Like, Tyrion, you want her to have Drogon burn Tyrion? He's not the size of a goat. they won't be satisfied. No, Sansa's really just concerned about the North and her family. I think that's really what matters. And I think that's a big part of her plot. You know, you see her in the beginning, she's a little girl who gets a crush on Justin Bieber, and then she finds out he sucks. And then he kills her family. His whole family kills her family. And then she has to marry Tyrion, who is a proponent of killing her family. And now she don't need no one. She just wants her family, the Weirwood tree.
You know what's crazy?
Didn't leave his, he could have just left Ghost there. I'm just saying.
I feel like she's one of my favorite characters now.
Oh yeah.
Like I hated her. And you
shocked.
can go back and listen to previous episodes. I hated her.
Yeah.
Until she started, coming until she got whisked away. And then she became a lot more interesting to me. And then now she's just a very strong character. And I think she has some of the coolest outfits, like that armor that she was wearing was just, I think that's awesome. And wow, Sophie Turner, absolutely gorgeous.
My future wife.
Shit.
What a babe.
You guys see the trailer for the new X-Men movie?
Yeah.
Wow. And I think that is there a rumor that she's going to play Morticia from Addams Family?
Her and her husbando, Jonas Boy, they actually did it for Halloween one year.
Oh, was that what I
That's
saw?
what you saw, yeah.
That was pretty hot. I'm not going to lie. I'm just saying.
The way she kills Ramsay's the best. I wish I would have seen more though. I wanted to see the actual eating of Ramsay.
No, thank you. Ashley says, do we think we'll see remorse from Dany before or if she dies?
No. They screwed
She's
up on
fully
that.
She's fully into fear. She chose to rule by fear.
So you think she went total dark side?
Yeah. She's always listen, and I said this last week, and Julie and Trin has to have to rewatch old episodes. She's always wanted to Fire and Blood, and like there's so many different situations, and everyone had to talk her down. Jorah's talked her down. Barristan Selmy's talked her down. Tyrion, Jon, they've all had to talk her down. This was gonna happen. Now she has no one to talk her down. That's why she did that shit, and it was like spur of the moment. I still believe she was looking at the Red Keep, Cersei, and that's what snapped. I mean,
the big thing was like for that moment when she heard the bells was like, that's bullshit. Like, this is my home and you've taken it and that's it. Like, you deserve this. You deserve this Fire and Blood for what you've done to this country, to my people. And then she kills her people. I think there's a lot of that. And I also think like there won't be remorse. There's no time for remorse at this point. I think we have to get to an end goal next episode. And I do think that's an issue with how they're writing her, because if you look at Stannis, this is Stannis 2.0 and Firier, right? Like this is everything Stannis in the show and in the books is a warning to Jon and to Dany as they rule. It is fire consumes, and Jon chooses the opposite direction and Dany chooses that direction is kind of what it is.
Catherine says, I'm so bitter. I'm sorry in advance. Don't be sorry. You're allowed to be bitter. It's part of the experience. Biggie says Tyrion betrayed Dany because his love for his brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Trin says, our very own Trin from the podcast says, with Cersei dead and Dany as the villain, all of those male writers had better not hand over the kingdom to a man. They better put Sansa on the throne if there is a throne.
It's going to be broken up. There's been foreshadowing this. Okay, so this is in the books in the show. There's been foreshadowing that the kingdom is going to go back. George R. R. Martin does not write a 10,000-year history about kings in every region, not to go back to it. He, even when Aegon conquers, George doesn't write. He doesn't change the Seven Kingdoms to the Kingdom of Westeros. He keeps it as the Seven Kingdoms. Why do you do that? Because you're going to break it up again. It's like you could have easily said Aegon the First, king of the Kingdom of Westeros, first man. Instead, they always went back to all the titles. Always said king of the Seven Kingdoms because they've always meant to go back to it. That and the system of one king can't work in Westeros.
Well, something's definitely not working.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of why it's so funny that Dany has that line about breaking the wheel, because it's like, honey, sweetie, you invented the wheel. You are the wheel. Your whole entire bloodline is the wheel. And here you are doing what your wheel does, bringing fire and blood. It's I think that it is going to take Dany's destruction there of like the realm and of parts of the realm like that. And obviously at the same time as like, especially in the book series, Dany's going to go to King's Landing probably first with a different character there, not Cersei. She's going to deal with that shit, and then there'll be nothing left for her, and she realized she pissed everyone off, go north, and then she's going to come back, and she'll just be consumed after losing everything, right? She's lost everything. And it's hard because he starts us out like loving this little girl who was timid and abused, right, by her brother, and she had to run from place to place, and she births dragons. It's been 150 years since dragons existed. She's a freaking messiah to everybody. Like, that's why the Messiah Jesus imagery is there, as gross as it is. And seeing her go this way, obviously it could have used some perpetual buildup a little more, as we've discussed, but this is what it is for her. This is what she is and what her family was. And I mean, if you had big flying winged nukes, what would you do?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Now, anyone joining us live just now, I just want to mention that this is our community episode. We have our very special guest, Chloe, from Girls Gone Canon podcast. Definitely check out their podcast. It's awesome. And if you guys have any questions in the chat, we're going to try to read them, and we're just going to kind of throw them around here and talk. This is this episode. Our star is Chloe, and of course, you, the community. Let's see. Going back to the chat, let's see. Oh, Biggie makes a comment that I wanted to kind of touch on. Biggie says, number one reason for Dany's downfall was meeting Tyrion Lannister. Now, as much as I hate to admit this, because Tyrion is another one of my favorite characters, I feel like ever since Tyrion and Dan got together, she's just kind of gone downhill. I mean, yeah, she Marine ended kind of okay, I guess. Well, I don't even know if you can say that, but I totally agree, John.
Yes, I 100% agree. Tyrion, on the politics side, is great. Politic-wise, Tyrion's a great hand. You want to do a politics, all the running of the kingdom is great. Comes to war, Tyrion sucks. Okay, Dany had four armies and 3 dragons and Yara's fleet, and somehow because of Tyrion, she lost 2 of those armies. She lost the fleet. Okay, you should just went right to. Oh
no,
my God,
absolutely, you're completely right.
There's no. I mean, I also think that's a little bit bad writing. It was bad writing to give Dany this overwhelming odds, and then in one season, kind of like level it off, or even level it off, because you don't really. Dany has a dragon is worth an army. Okay, yeah, 3. You didn't have to give her the Martells. You didn't have to give her the Martells or the Tyrells at the end of season 6. In fact, I would have been happy if Dany would have burnt the entire Tyrell army in the Loot Train battle, not just the Lannisters. You could have wrote that in there, and that would have taken out the Tyrells, because you're going to wipe them out anyways. You might as well just have Dany use her dragon.
Yeah, it would have built the plot a little better too, right? Give that build up, because Spoils of War was like, oh, you okay, Dany? And then afterwards, now this season, you're like, oh, she ain't okay. But like at the same time, it's not just Tyrion. Yes, Tyrion especially, because in A Dance with Dragons, he's about to meet Daenerys in the next book in The Winds of Winter when it someday comes out. And please, it better be November. But yeah, he's about to meet Dany in the books finally, and Tyrion's like not exactly a nice guy right now in the books. He's kind of pretty shitty. He's like out there pretty much raping sex workers and like being kind of a dick, and like just thinking about how he wishes he could fucking kill his sister. Okay, so he's not in the best mind place. He's going to meet Daenerys, and you think he's going to be a good influence? Daenerys in the books was coming back to Westeros with like really bad advisors. Barristan's going to die, as we know. She's going to come back with these guys that aren't well suited to be the angel on her shoulder. They're going to be the devils on her shoulder. And it doesn't help last episode that in that war scene in The Last of the Starks, when Jon, Sansa and Arya are like, whoa, maybe this isn't the best idea. Maybe your armies need a nap for like maybe one day. Just one nap. And Dany is like, and Jon's like, no, we're doing whatever Dany says. And it's like, there's your first problem. You should have spoke up and said, let's strategize better and maybe take a break. But
yeah, that seems so weak that Jon just jumped on that like that. But yeah, Tyrion is definitely not doing well. Let's see. Gino says, welcome to the chat. If no one other than the Mad Queen wants the throne, Tyrion's democratic union would come to fruition. Jack in the Box says, the dawn of democracy in Westeros.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to happen. Not
You don't
gonna
think so,
happen.
John?
How are you gonna have democracy when every region has its own army? It's not gonna happen. Like it's gonna be it's better just to have your
But who
kings.
right now? Who
Huh?
has an army right now other than Dan?
But give it time, they're gonna rebuild their armies. I
It's gonna
mean,
take him a little while.
we thought the North had no armies; they still had armies.
I still can't believe that we saw so many people come out of the North. I mean, that's just writing. You know, they can just mad. Oh, yeah, well, this is how many.
Picture of Danny where she's like standing with all the armies in front of her from next episode that got released.
Yeah,
Where did
Yeah.
all those Unsullied
Well,
come from? Does anyone
where
know?
did they come from?
Where did they come from?
It's only half,
The only
right?
thing that-
They said only half.
Yeah, but what did what did she have? 8,000 when she came over.
8,000. So she only had 4. She took 4,000 with her.
But here's the
So-
deal: is take a look at her like commanding her armies in front of King's Landing during the Missandei scene, and look at the picture they have in the trailer and everything, and it's like, here's the
Totally
picture in episode 3. Here's the picture in episode 6.
One of these things. Is not
Well,
like
that's
the other.
because that's because John took some Unsullied with him marching, and the rest was on ships. That's why in episode 4 there was only that so much little Unsullied. John had more marching.
You're
with
saying
him.
they all survived when King's Landing blew up with wildfire and dragonfire everywhere?
I think that, well,
It's bad writing.
well,
You're gonna get David and Dan at the end of the episode going, so Danny kind of forgot she had more Unsullied.
Strange TV are just J. Crew, Justin. John is the worst character. He could have tempered Danny by loving her and getting over the ant banging issue. Really, King's Landing is John's fault. Now, I got to say something about this.
Here
I
we go.
finally called something for once. I said that John was going to have a problem when he found out he was banging his aunt. And I had so many people tell me, no, it's no big deal. It's Game of Thrones. And, you know, it's what the Targaryens did. And it's not a big deal. And people forgot that it's not what Jon Snow does, Mr. Honorable Cookie Cutter of Ned. To a point, anyway. And I knew he was going to have a problem with it. And what happened? He's having a problem with it. And it's like, oh, come on, dude. You didn't have a problem with it before, and you already did the deed, so it's already done. You might as well keep on with the sinning. And how come those two haven't been talking? They haven't gotten married, or proposals haven't been made. Like Tyrion and Davos and Varys talked about it, and nothing was ever said to these two characters. Shouldn't have some? Is that bad writing too, or is that just?
No.
Well,
Varys did
different.
mention like that the North would never accept that. That the North would never accept incest, which is really ironic because in the Stark history, like for example,
yeah,
Rickard Stark, Ned's dad, married his cousin Liara. You know, it's not that big. And okay, not to down talk incest. Aunt and nephew, it still is a long enough, you're not direct, so that's good news because Danny's parents were sister and brother. Like that's a big difference than aunt and nephew, but it's still bad. And I thought it was interesting that Varys was the one that talked about it. And I was really I was surprised somebody in general talked about it because nobody has mentioned that incest is bad in this show, ever. No one said it except for oh, the Targaryens and their incest abominations. But nobody else has been they can't get married because incest. But I think that was kind of a cheap cop-out. They should have just freaking gotten married. But I totally understand why Jon isn't fucking his aunt after, learning that his whole entire life was a goddamn lie. Maybe sometimes people just don't want to have sex, especially not with the aunt that symbolizes how their life was a lie.
yeah.
Ashley is saying, I still feel like this is a complete left turn for her character, I believe, talking about Danny. And that makes me sad as fuck. And now I got to say that Danny was now maybe I'm blind and I could very well be. I watched the show from season 1 and I read the books and I get, I kind of separated the books from the show almost completely at this point. And I'm watching Danny as she's growing as a character and I'm thinking, all right, she wants to break the wheel. She's trying to stop slavery, and it feels like she's doing all the right things, at least until she just decides to kill the innocent people. And I know that a lot of people are saying that this has been foreshadowed since the beginning, and I probably missed it because I'm just that daft. However, it still didn't feel good, and I think that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you liked her or not, I mean, even if you like her going, off the rails, if you will, it still should give you some kind of sign that, wow, this was really, really bad. And I think that's why they shot it from the perspective of Arya and from the peasants in the street, that this is total fucking carnage and chaos. And this is what one person with some skill, because she finally has dragon flying skill, can do with a dragon. And that's quite amazing and terrifying. So as I am sad as well, because I really believed that I thought Dany was the hero of the story. I really did. And then a lot of people were writing on our Facebook page saying, well, Chris, don't forget that a lot of her motivation to help these the slaves was to build up her army in a way. And I thought, well, maybe that could very well be. Either way, I was also disappointed with Dany. However, the more I think about it, I don't think it's entirely out of her character considering her background. And as I think back to some of the foreshadowing, but I still don't like it. Go ahead, John.
First, she's the Darth Vader of this story. That's if you really think about it. If you watched the prequels and knew nothing about Star Wars, you would have thought that Anakin was this good guy and then he goes bad. The reason I think that there's no foreshadowing is I think they were trying to copy like that Red Wedding shock value of Daenerys attacking the Innocents. Red Wedding is their most successful. It's probably one of the greatest episodes of TV ever by many people. So that's why. And her breaking the wheel, I've always thought it was her wiping out the houses so there wouldn't be any more wars. Well, so there's always been a little dark side, like always been a little bit of, what is that?
This is the wheel. I got this for running my first 5K nonstop.
Oh, that's a 5K thing.
I finally did it. Yep, I finally did it. And I think I announced this on the last episode. It was a virtual 5K, so I had to run it. I ran it by myself, which is fine. I'm a loser. But it's a wheel, and there's all the houses on it. It's actually a freaking wheel. So maybe, no, am I stretching this too far?
Call up Miss Daenerys, Tell her to get out here and break it. There's an essay series, and I mean, again, we don't have all the time in the world. They want to end this shit, dude. They were unmarried and had no kids 8 years ago. Okay, like now they have kids. Now they're married. They have lives. This thing is They had episode freaking 3 was 55 days straight of production. Okay, like as much as the writing fucking sucks, it's always sucked. Like since like the stuff they do on their own kind of sucks. It is what it is. LeBron with a crossbow plot. That's compelling. Yeah. But there's this essay written by Adam Feldman called Untangling the Myronese Knot, and it's basically about Daenerys' book plot, and there's this line he writes about Daenerys coming back to Westeros, and something we miss out on in the show is there are a bunch of betrayers that Dany still has to kill on the way home. It's completely set up in the books how she's going to burn her way back to Westeros, leave a trail of fire and blood. She's going to keep getting betrayed by people slowly but surely and start to kind of go, WTF. And the line Adam Feldman writes is that like Dany achieved peace over in Meereen, right? Like we saw it. She achieved peace, but then she decided that war felt better. She doesn't know what to do once she's at peace.
Oh, that's a good point. Never even thought of it that way.
Yeah, I don't know what she's gonna do. Like, if she, like hypothetical, if she's queen, I think she'll be like another Robert because I think she'll just drink her way because I don't think she'll know what to do. She's had this whole quest of becoming queen, and now once you've done it, it's like, okay, now what? She doesn't know how to rule. It's proven that she can't. She doesn't know anything about politics or something like that. She's always been conflicted. I think there's been times when she didn't want to go to Westeros because she kept delaying. Like, it's like, why would you care about the slaves? You go back to season 3, the Yuta guy offered her a fleet and said, you can have as many ships as you want, take your Unsullied, go. And she was like, no, I want the free slaves. I mean, she's always been a conflicted character.
No, for sure. And I think that's one of the reasons I liked her, because I thought this was the conflicted hero growth story. And I feel like I was definitely wrong. And I can understand where a lot of the audience is saying, like, they're very, very upset about the turn that Dany made. I get that. I really do. But at the same time, I'm also trying to open my mind and look at it from the other way, because there's definitely been a lot of foreshadowing. And Jack in the Box says foreshadowing isn't character development.
Sure ain't, but they don't develop characters on this show. Every single season, it's a sketch show, and they have a new personality. Next question.
Yeah. Chloe, I love you.
Just saying, it's always been like this, though. When they came for Sansa in season 5, none of you said anything. When they came for Dorne, none of you said anything. And now they're coming for Dany. Sit down. Sit down.
Chloe, I got to get you on the podcast now. I really do. God, that's funny. I got to say, though, regardless of the writing, I don't think is that great. I hate to say that, but it's like the way they shoot this is incredible. The shooting and the production is amazing. It's like
the casting, the costumes, everything's really good except for the dialogue. If you watch it on mute,
yeah, excellent point. All right, let's see here. Catherine says, my least favorite part of the episode was that there were so many torches around Sandor and Gregor, and he didn't use them to kill the mountain. He wants to go ahead, Chloe. You want to tackle that one?
Look, Sandor Clegane is my favorite character in the entire series.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
When I was telling you about my consult I did today, what I'm getting is a Sandor Clegane piece. But I'm getting a Sandor Clegane tattoo next Friday. It is happening. But Sandor Clegane is so exciting. I'm so excited. He is my favorite character in the entire book series and in the show. And the show did him dirty. I get it. They don't have time to flush everybody out. But Sandor was made into a chicken meme that says the word fuck a lot. And, chickens and crap. And just, I don't know. That's it. That's all Sandor became. And killing his brother for him shouldn't have been... Now, John, I don't want you to get mad at me, okay? So I want you just to sit there calmly, maybe do your Jon Snow face.
I'll always do your Jon Snow face, John.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. You're doing great, John. His death, like Sandor killing his brother, shouldn't have been this epic showdown. And I get it, Clegane Bowl, it's fun. I used to love Clegane Bowl, but his whole arc has led to this moment of giving this monster that isn't even his brother anymore. Like, yeah, his brother was a monster, but this guy is just a zombie. And Sandor has killed zombies now. This should have been his big moment to give his brother the gift of mercy, which he learned from Arya and Sansa. The Stark girls taught him what mercy was. Sansa was kind to him. Arya left him there, and he got to be brought back into the fold and didn't die. And killing his brother isn't supposed to be some savage, epic, like, oh, shit, he killed his brother. It's supposed to be a very emotional fight of where he finally puts the dog to sleep, right? Like, he puts his brother down, because his brother's turned into this mad, zombified dog, this Frankenstein's monster character. And it was just, it was a great, beautifully cinematic, and I love the scene with Arya right before. That was probably my favorite part of the episode, one of my favorites. Arya was my favorite part of this episode for sure, but it just left so much to be desired. I feel like all the deaths this episode were supposed to make me more emotional. Like, yeah, Cersei's awful, but we love her because she's awful. She's a great character because she's literally garbage. And Jaime Lannister, garbage, but we love him because he's garbage. And these characters died and I felt nothing. Like, not shit.
I like the death.
I didn't feel anything. I wanted to cry, dude. That's why I watch this show. Like, just fuck me up.
I after rewatching it a bunch of times, I like the death because everyone wanted her to suffer, but Cersei would never show suffering. I think she would have taken, like, look at how she did the
think about it.
No, but let me explain. Like, Julian, like, Trin was like, I wanted a more, better death. I wanted her to suffer. And I'm like, you really think Cersei would have suffered? You think she would have begged for her death? She took the walk of shame like a champ. Robert slapped her. She took it like a champ. There's a strength in her that people don't realize. She would have just been like, I'm not going to beg. She would have been like, stand up straight and just taken the killing. And I think this death was better because you saw her break down and you've never seen her do, like, she was visibly crying, like, I don't want to die. I don't want. That is the best way for her to die. Because if it was like someone like Arya trying to kill her, like, she would have just taken it like a champ. It'd be like, just kill me. Like, no silent, no crying, no begging, no screaming. She would have taken, and then everyone would have been like, then everyone would complain about that being like, oh, she just took it like this is a good way for her to die.
She died this way. I was going to be mad if Arya killed her because I thought that was what's going to happen. I was waiting for her to like steal Jaime's face or some shit, something really lame, because I mean, that's what they do. But I still think Jaime should have killed her.
Well, they're going to save Arya to kill Dany.
Real quick, I want to comment on that, but first I want to say in the chat, Robert did something cool. He has one of these badges going his way. He did a 30-mile bike ride, which is awesome. Awesome, Robert. And I'm going to read your email in just a minute. Oscar says, how do I get one of these? That's easy. If you go to peakvirtualraces.com or anybody, they have Game of Thrones. They have Marvel, like Avenger ones.
Ooh.
And they're not very expensive. They're I think it was like $20 in shipping and tax and whatever. And you run your run, you do your run, you put in your time and your date or whatever, and then they send it out to you. And they have different kinds too, which is really, really cool. For the Cersei thing, I know a lot of people were disappointed. They wanted to see Cersei killed with a giant dildo or something like up the ass. And I get that, but
she might have liked that though. She might have liked that.
I think that her Shakespearean ending wasn't that bad, and it was terrifying. I mean, I don't know. I have weird fears. I'm not going to share them all on the podcast. We'll be here all freaking night. But imagine this: you're I don't know if I can describe this properly, but you're holding your child in your belly, right? It's your baby, right? You just were led down to what you thought was going to be your salvation of freedom to get away from this chaos with the person who you've loved since the beginning. And you're trapped. There is no fucking way out. You are now face to face with you're going to die, and your child isn't going to see the light of day, and the person that you love is going to die with you. And you're just, that's got to be terrifying. And I know it wasn't the whole, red hot poker up the asshole, but I still think that was a pretty good death. And I was more disappointed that Jaime even went back there in the first place, because I thought he was going to redeem himself, because I don't see foreshadowing, people. I don't see the writing on the wall. That's why I have co-hosts like Chloe and John and Trin and Andrea and Julie and people in the chat like Gisela and Chris Innes and all these other people. So did you think it was an okay death for these two characters, Chloe?
It works. I'm not like mad at it. I would have loved to watch Jaime do the deed because he's totally going to do it in the books. It's totally foreshadowed. It's just thematic resonance. He's gotta. But my favorite take about this, let me see if you guys like this one. This is a hot take I'm working on. The Wicked Witch of the Westeros had the house come down. Not so pretty now, is she?
Oh, that's funny.
Got her little legs poking out of the rubble. Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's funny. There's actually theories that Jaime's still alive.
Oh my God, no! They're gonna find his hand. I give you $10. They'll find his golden hand in the rubble.
See the mess up they did again.
Another one with the hand.
Oh, yeah, I saw
the
that.
hand.
My dad
Jaime's
texted me that.
That's awesome. Let's see. Ashley says, I cared more about Cersei and Jaime and Tyrion than Dany and Jon. Let's see. Catherine says, Catherine said, I wish I felt something when Brienne was knighted. All I could think was, does this even count? Is it tradition?
Sure does.
Or law that women can't be knights? Yeah, it counts.
A big thing with that, for those of you that don't read the books, some really big lore there is that there's this knight. So the song that you hear, that Jenny's song, the High in the Halls of the Ghosts That Were Gone song that played during episode 2, that song is about a Targaryen family member and his wife, and Sir Duncan the Tall is also kind of involved in that. There's this famous Kingsguard knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, hundreds of years ago. That
thick as a castle wall.
Yep, thick as a castle wall. 2 C's, thick. Dunk was great. Dunk fucked. But George has said that he actually, 2 people come from his line, from his bloodline, even though he was a knight of the Kingsguard and Lord Commander. But he goes on to be the most honorable knight in all the 7 kingdoms. He saves a bunch of people that are about to be obliterated by wildfire at Summerhall, the Targaryens' summer home. And Duncan the Tall is a true knight that he wasn't technically knighted until he was made to the Kingsguard. And he He was a knight who remembered his vows, and that's who Brienne is. She is a true knight who remembered her vows, and there's a rumor that she is a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall. George has said that he has 2 people in the story that are descended from Sir Duncan the Tall, and I think Brienne is pretty obviously one. She's super tall and thick as a castle wall, and she's one of Dunk's descendants. So she gets to be a true knight of the 7 kingdoms who remembered her vows.
Strange TV, Justin J. Crew gets a gold star. He says, exactly. The Lannister story was and is way better than Stark's or Dany. Oh, I like that. That's funny. Ashley says the house she built came falling down around her. Big E says the Lannister kingdom crumbles on Cersei's head. Terrence says perhaps Brienne will have Jaime's baby. A baby. Jack in the Box says agreed. Jaime, no redemption was frustrating. Ashley said if he rang the bells, I would have been happier with their deaths. Catherine says I cried 4 times watching Survivor finale today. I'm an easy crier. I'm an easy crier too.
I'm an easy crier, and I did not get upset the last episode.
I mean, I cried watching Survivor, for Christ's sakes.
Lannister's got everything they deserved. Okay, they're evil.
I'm not saying they didn't, though.
I didn't mind the slaughtering of Lannister soldiers. I actually don't mind that.
Well,
that
they were
was
soldiers.
like they're soldiers. I don't mind that. Like they're Lannisters. They deserve to get.
No, he's such a bastard, isn't he?
I don't feel like that's fair because
Not fair at all, John.
season 7. No, you
Listen.
listen, John.
You know what?
I have the floor. So season 7, we have that scene with Arya with those Lannister soldiers who are just doing what they're told. You get that they have to have a job, and this is the only job they can have. It's like going to a retail store and getting mad at a retail worker for the prices. Like,
yeah,
everyone's got to have a freaking job, John. And guess what? They live there, and most of them didn't have a choice. Like, if there was a draft, if Cersei all of a sudden was like, I need a bajillion soldiers to protect my keep because I'm a crazy queen in the castle with nothing else, and I don't really know why I'm here still in season 8 because I'm the big bad apparently now, even though I'm one of the most inept characters. Anyways, but she probably put out a freaking draft, okay? There's all these people. What are you going to do? Be a farmer your whole life? That's not how it works. There has to be jobs, and soldiers are humans too. Look at Arya hanging out with Ed Sheeran. Those guys were great. They shared food. They shared drink. They didn't try to kill her. Everything was off. Armor was off. They were just hanging out. They were just boys. Most of those guys that you saw get burnt were just boys doing what they were told because they had no other options.
See, John is
fair enough.
He's very
Fair enough. But there's also a bunch of soldiers drinking and having fun at a wedding, and then all of a sudden they're getting slaughtered and they can't even defend themselves because they're drunk.
There was a Northman
Okay, so
in the
let's not-
army trying to rape a chick, John. Was he right? Guess what? Our Stark army isn't
Okay.
perfect, honey.
Oh, soldiers are
Our
okay.
Stark
I'm not
army
saying all
isn't
soldiers are
perfect
perfect.
because soldiers.
I'm not saying that
I'm
either.
just gonna let
I'm just saying
John, I
have
think
at
the
it.
problem
after everything, the Lannisters
the biggest
are my
thing that
stars.
George is trying to basically say is that war is bad. He's not saying that
agree.
one side soldiers are bad or one side soldiers are good. Look at the Northman that was going rogue and John had to put him down. George is saying war is
Agree.
bad.
Listen, I agree. The innocents I don't like, but there's soldiers I don't have an issue. Like the innocents I get. That's you don't
have an
kill
army.
innocents. I'd be a perfect leader. I'd
I'm
be
gonna
really.
go back to the chat room, you murdering Canadian bastard. Biggie says, Jamie always said it. I die in the arms of the women I love, and he loves Cersei.
Yep.
Raymond, yay, Raymond, welcome. Why don't we just assume that it took Cersei 3 hours to die underneath all that rubble, and the cheese slowly smothered and was excruciating pain? Will that satisfy the bloodlust? That's a very good one. That's a very good one indeed. All right, let's see here. We have, I think I'm caught up on the, oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Cash B, yay. How many of the major houses are left?
Oh man, we got it. Wow.
Based on what? How many people are left? So I figure. So this is what I'm thinking. There's one Aaron left. That's little sweet
Okay,
Robin.
hold on. He's
There's-
big sweet Robin now. Have you seen a picture of him? He's like 15, 16 in real life, and he's like got a
Okay, so
pompadour.
he's still sweet Robin.
They
In
don't
his mind, he's
about
sweet
him
Robin,
anymore.
okay?
He's old.
So you got Robin Aaron. There's only one Aaron left. There's one Baratheon left. That's
Mhm.
Gendry. There's one Lannister left. That's Tyrion. There's no more
Thank
Tyrells. There's no more Martells.
There's a new Prince of Dorne.
And there's a theory that me and Andrea talked about. That's a Dane. That new Prince
like
is a
that.
Dane because
But it ain't that deep.
and we're gonna
It's not
see
that
him
deep.
because
You know that, right?
they cast him.
It's not that deep.
Edmure Tully, Jack in the Box says.
Oh yeah, there's Tullys, but it's not that deep. We're not going to see the Danes in the show ever.
Actually,
Besides
no,
Arthur.
but they cast an
That's
actor who could play a Martell. You know
Yep.
what I'm talking about? Okay, so we could see that next week. The Northern houses are pretty much wiped out. The Glovers,
Bolton.
the
No.
Bolton,
There is one Glover left, and they're not going to deal with it. I'm telling you now that Lord Glover that betrayed the Starks and went over to the Lannister forces, they're not going to deal with that. I bet you $10 more. 10 more. That's not going to come up.
yeah, but didn't they say anything from the Wall to Winterfell is with the dead, and the Glovers would be dead? Like that's what Tormund said because he had to go around that army. You have to look at them. You have to look at the map, but pretty much everyone. I would say most of the northern houses with the Reeds and the Mannerleys are pretty much gone.
Trin said, did Elise Karstark die?
No.
Yes, she was with Theon in the She was with Theon in the
They
Godswood.
actually
So
have a
she's
death
gone.
scene for her, and they cut it. And it was like kind of thought that maybe she was going to be back in the Winterfell feast for some reason, but everyone in the Godswood totally died. So it's like it's a bummer they cut that scene. I wish they would have shown it, but yeah, I guess she's dead.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And there's there's like 2 Tullys left, and
Yeah.
her baby somewhere.
Too bad Arya
So it's
didn't
pretty
free
much
him.
like, and then there's 1 Greyjoy left. So pretty much most of the houses are near
Thank
extinct.
God, root him out.
So yeah. So now we have Catherine says, I like this. I always pictured Robin's death being him getting addicted to white poppy and throwing himself from the moon door saying, "Watch me fly, mommy."
I love that.
I like that. Gold star to you. Samuel Tarley. Yep,
Yeah,
Jack in the Box. Samuel Tarley.
He's going to be what? Like he's going to end up like the Maester, like Grand Maester of the Realm or some shit.
I think he's gonna stay.
I don't think so.
I think he's gonna stay in Winterfell. I think he's
I
found a
don't
home
think
there.
so.
Biggie says Braun from House Blackwater still alive.
I think Bronze get killed, man.
I
I'm
wish.
telling
You know he's not gonna. They should have killed
Braun's-
Bronn in Spoils of War. It's ridiculous.
I think Braun is gonna show up wanting his claim. He's gonna show up to Dany being like, and then Dany's gonna be like, well, didn't you fire a bolt at my dragon? And then Dracarys, and then he burns. I just have a feeling that's gonna
Hope
be
so.
Braun.
Oh my god, I would love that scene. I love Danny now. I stand Danny. Burn him. He's just like taking up screen time for no reason. Imagine if you cut his 2 stupid scenes this season, what we could get.
Yeah, you get a lot more. There's a lot of. I think there's a lot of fat that they, they're everything's hurried, and we're trying to get through this last season. But I feel like there's a lot of fat that they could have chopped. Now, RJ M Drum in GetVocal.com says, and this is kind of I missed this comment, so I'm sorry. The Tower Jamie Cersei death is perfect. The whole trouble started in the Tower in the premiere and ended in the Tower as her power structure comes tumbling on both who deserve each other. Did you guys, Chloe? Did you like how Qyburn got taken out?
Yes, it was the best death. First off, it was Frankenstein's monster killing his creator. That was awesome. Second off, it was the best death of the episode. I've never A, laughed so hard and B, gone, no, Qyburn.
Right? How is it possible? I'm watching this episode and there's all this chaos and death, and all of a sudden you'll obey your queen, and he smashes him against that back like broken up piece of wall and then flings him like a puppet. And I started laughing.
So good.
Does that make me a bad person?
No,
Does that
we
make-
were laughing so hard, and I was like, "Oh man, that's great! That was a great death." And honestly, it was stupid, but it was funny and it was perfect. Like I can't be mad about it because I'm like, "Yes."
That death, I love Euron's death too. I miss Euron Greyjoy. I'm rewatching him like I miss Euron Greyjoy. I don't know why. I like Euron Greyjoy, and I missed him. I miss him now. I love how he's like, I killed Jaime Lannister. Like, yes.
How do you miss him? He was supposed
I don't know why.
promised
I just missed him.
as good.
I don't know why.
Hold on. He was promised to be as good or better than what's his name? Oh my God, Ramsay Bolton. And there is no villain on this show that was as good a villain as Ramsay Bolton. There is not even the Night
I
King.
disagree. Joffrey, in my opinion, is better than Ramsay, but I get what you're saying, and I agree that, especially in the book series, it's set up with these three big bads of that, right? You have Joffrey, then you have Ramsay, and then you have Euron. And in the books, Euron is like a psychedelic wizard, and he's like frying people's brains, right? Like he's like drinking acid, like liquid acid every day. Like that's Euron in the books, but in the show, they made him this pirate, and it's such a bummer because Pylu Asbeck, poor Quentin from Nauticast, as soon as Pylu was cast, poor Quentin sent him an email with The Forsaken, this chapter that's a sample chapter from The Winds of Winter that George R.R. Martin read at a convention, and someone transcripted it. That someone was Emmett, but poor Quentin sent that to Pylu, and Pylu read it. He's been saying in interviews like, oh, I was really bummed because I was kind of told, like, oh, you're going to play Euron. So I looked up the role and I was really excited because he has blue lips and drinks this acid stuff and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, but they went a different route and that's fine. I would put on a peg leg and a hat if they wanted me to, I mean, whatever, which I get, but he just turned into like a dumb jock. And it was stupid.
He was a sea with, and they ruined it.
That's why I liked him.
The book Euron is way better than the show Euron. Like that's one of the things I was really disappointed about.
They should have just let Danny burn him.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yep.
Thing has a good point though on Reddit. I can't pronounce his name. Ringe, I don't know. Euron is fun.
It's okay. M Drum on vocal.
Yeah. He goes, Euron is fun. It's okay to have a villain that's just nuts in a fun way. The book version would have come across as too over the top.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything except one time he had sex with Cersei, and then like he got to hit the crossbow at the dragon, which was fun.
That was the only elephant trunk Cersei got.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his one-liners are the best. Like I have a fleet, or what's that one where he's like I have two hands or something in season 7? I can't remember.
Back. And here's the deal: is Gemma Whalen, I believe, because she had filming issues because she just had a baby. So I know, like the one episode she was on already, she had her baby on set during filming. Like she was just breastfeeding the baby on set. So I know that's probably why they didn't, it didn't work out. She probably had production issues getting there and all that, and she probably was working on other stuff. But she was only in that one episode so far, and it's like Yara. That should have been Yara's kill. That should have been Yara's kill, in my opinion.
Trin says, our very own Trin says, Euron was Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, horny Captain Jack Sparrow.
From the island of Tortuga. Okay, so a couple comments here that I think are great. Trin says, Bronn was a plot hole. He tells Jaime and Tyrion that Cersei sent him to kill them, and then they both attempt to save Cersei in the end. What the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Bad pussy corrupts.
Strange TV, you are stuck on that. Strange TV, Justin says, agreed. Qyburn had me laughing out loud so hard. It was the best death of the series, I think.
Can you talk, Chris? Are you good?
I am okay. I haven't been drinking that much.
The best death of the series is Qyburn? No.
Yes, it's the best death of the entire series. I'd watch it 10 times in a row. In fact, put that crap on a loop for 10 hours and I'll watch it. I don't give a shit.
No, there's better deaths than that.
Let's see here. Catherine says, my favorite meme so far is the one that says that Jaime throwing Bran out of the window is 1E was foreshadowing for Jaime's character development going out the window in season 8. Oh, I'm sorry, season 1, episode 1.
So I just want to say, what if I told you guys Jaime isn't a good guy? Like, okay, so he hangs out with Brienne, and Brienne, changes him a little. He becomes better. But first off, why should women have to change men? Just fucking stop acting up. Second off, he like straight up tells Brienne, here's a fancy sword. Go protect Sansa and Arya because we said we would, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go be with my sister. Bye. What did Jaime do? He went north and he fought the one time, and that was it. And he dumped his sister at one point, and then he went back to her. That's it. That's all Jaime really did.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just putting it out there that like everybody expected him to do some noble thing, and yeah, killing Aerys was it. That was his noblest, dude. I mean, he never once said, I feel bad about what I did to Bran. He didn't apologize to Bran in Winterfell. He didn't say anything like, I wish I hadn't done this to you, really. Like, they have that moment in the Godswood, but there's still no real, I'm so sorry. No, he bangs Brienne, leaves her out to dry, goes back to his sister in the end because he knows that his sister's going to die and he should be there. He was always going to be who he was.
Yeah, Biggie says Jaime was a scumbag. Trin from our podcast says Jaime equals no character arc. Instead, he had a character circle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I was hoping for more.
Well, here's the other deal is like, it makes sense. Like, this is, first off, he acted weird after he and Brienne slept together because he's never slept with anyone that's not Cersei. Cersei was his big love. Cersei was the only person he's ever slept with. He's the only person he felt comfortable with. It was his other half. They're twins. They knew they would go out together someday. Like, they have that connection. And it's not surprising that, you know, he had this whole like recoil and goes, oh God, I just banged Brienne and I think I love her, but oh God, I'm going to go back to this toxic, abusive relationship I've been in since I was like 9.
Biggie says D&D are so bad at writing. John never mentioned Maester Aemon Targaryen to Dany.
Yep.
Like, Maester Aemon was not there for 5 seasons. That's a good point.
Yep. Absolutely.
Robert says, I saw that Gendry ends up with Sansa after Arya leaves Westeros. Or I say that Gendry ends up with Sansa after Arya leaves Westeros.
Sansa's not leaving the North.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
She's queen of the North.
Oh, so Jack in the Box says Tormund's one-liners are better than Euron's. Yeah, I agree. I call him Euron because I can't stand the character. I call him Euron. It sounds funnier.
Wait, giant spell.
Let's see. Catherine, I started watching Gentleman Jack yesterday, and it has Yara's actress in it. Good so far. Okay, cool. I have to check it out.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that's really good. I would like to watch that. I really like her. Did you guys know? Elfie Allen is Lily Allen's brother, the singer, right? And you know that song she has written, Elfie, is about how her little brother won't get off his ass and get a job, and then he got Game of Thrones.
That's awesome.
I thought that was cool.
That is cool. I didn't know the connection, so that's awesome.
He plays such a bad guy in John
Mhm.
Wick. Alfie, it's so hilarious.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any of the John Wicks yet.
Oh my!
It's on my list of things to do.
I've heard they're good too. I haven't either.
Gino says Sandor will come back as a Force ghost, but only to Arya.
Nah.
Carlito's way. Arya is going to put on Cersei's face and shock the crap out of Dany. You heard it here first. Strange TV. Jaime is like the popular star quarterback who peaked in high school. He hit his peak at the tourney when he joined the King's Guard and is trying to hit that same level the rest of his life. Robert says, and in the book, Cersei slept with way more people than she did in the show.
Oh, hell yeah. She only slept with like 3 people in the show. She slept with like...
Trin says,
Which
yeah,
good for
she's
her.
a super slut, and Jaime is tortured by it. That's true.
Yeah, and that's like a big difference people are always upset about because in the books, you know, he dumps Cersei in the 4th book. And like in the show, it's season 7 and then he gets back with her. But I still don't think it's not going to go similarly in the books. I think he will eventually go back to her. Because I mean, like, that's the other thing is I wonder if him sleeping with Brienne is something that George is writing in the books. And if so, I'm curious if like Brienne, it's going to like be in Brienne's arc and it's going to be something that, like, she ignores her honor to bang Jaime Lannister and she's supposed to be doing something like to save someone and she like leaves her honor and that's like dishonorable, right? Like she finally does something dishonorable. I don't know. I'm interested to see. I really want to know what happens in the books with those two, but I do think it's going to go the same.
I think I read somewhere where George said all of the major character arcs are in the same in both the book and the show. So I do see Jaime sleeping with Brienne. So
well, sex isn't really a major character plot point. Just putting that out there.
I wish they would have made. I would have wished they would have made Cersei more of an alcoholic in the show, like she is in the book. I don't necessarily think she should need to be fat like she was in the book, but like more of alcoholic because the Lannisters they're alcoholics, man.
You know,
Outside
I
of Tywin.
would agree with you. Like, I wish they would show. That's the thing is like they don't the characters drink wine, but they don't show them like too drunk. The first real like this season, we saw them drunk at the Winterfell feast. That was fun. When Sansa was drunk, we saw Sansa drunk this season.
Yay!
That was great.
Tormund drunk is
I
the
love
best.
that he like just puts his head on Sandor and he's like, I'm so sad. The love of my life just walked away, and Sandor's just staring at Sansa the whole time.
The funniest line is John's like, puking isn't, was it like puking isn't, oh man, I forget the line now. Like, puking isn't fun. Yes, it is.
I love like John saying something and he's like talking shit to Sansa and the wildlings, and you can't make out what he says, but you just get Sansa sitting there. She's like, go on, I believe you. And she's all like, okay. It was fun. It was a fun scene. And like, I imagine that scene had to be really fun to shoot with everybody. They must have had a blast.
If this was a 10 episode season and that was an entire episode just in the feast, I would have been happy. If it was just one entire episode of the feast and then maybe room sex in the rooms, I'd be happy.
Great.
Just
Yeah.
give me one whole episode of the feast, okay? Where they're just drinking, having fun, because you need a fun thing after what we saw in episode 3. So if this was a 10 episode season and episode 4 was just the whole feast,
Why couldn't they all just like go to Disney World for an episode? You know, I just feel like we deserved it.
Listen, we're gonna get a Game of Thrones land in like
Oh my God,
5
do you
years.
think we will? Because I've seriously been discussing this with my boyfriend.
Well,
Like,
Look at this.
Yeah, but then
we have a Harry Potter land. We have a Star Wars land.
yet.
We're getting it. They're gonna, because Game of Thrones is more popular.
can you
than Lord of the Rings,
imagine
let's be
like
honest.
if there's a dragon ride and you fly like to different castles or something on a dragon?
5
I
years?
can't wait
you
till
watch.
5 years when we all go to opening day.
Did you just?
It's gonna
wait,
be
hold on.
happening.
Did you just say Tolkien's world, like Lord of the Rings, is less? What?
Yeah. Game of Thrones overtook them. It's show versus
So
TV's
no,
always
longevity wise, I argue that overall in history and now, because you know it's been around for 875 million years, Tolkien will always be the most esteemed and beloved of high fantasy like that. But I mean, I don't know. Song of Ice and Fire is getting there, dude. It's
It set the stage.
think about the popular culture. Like, don't think about the mass thing. It's going to be more popular. More people watch not Game of Thrones. Like, you'd be surprised how much people watch Game of Thrones. It's crazy. It's way more popular. It's more of a pop culture thing than like Lord of the Rings is going to have his niche in the nerd. Well, like us, we're in the nerd fantasy realm. It's going to be bigger, but in the like the general population, Game of Thrones will be bigger, and it's going to have its own land. I just have a feeling.
Let me get caught up on some comments here.
yeah.
RJ says for all the social media complaints at Game of Thrones kept going, people would never complain, and it outstayed its welcome as well.
Oh yeah, I said that too. They have to end it. They have to. It's time, because otherwise it will become the next Walking Dead. I mean, The Walking Dead has already Danny'd their characters, right? Like, no Rick, no Carl. What's the point of it? The show has become its name.
Sorry, my eyes are really.
And it's supposed to go like 10 more years or
Stop.
something.
reading.
Stop.
I'm serious.
Why are we even talking about Walking Dead? Does anyone even watch that show anymore?
No, I hope
I still
not.
watch
Do you really?
I've never even watched an episode.
Yeah, but it's more like a background now.
You know why?
One of those shows
Like
where
fucking zombies.
See, and this is like how I did it. I my stop watching was after Negan was introduced, because I didn't want them to ruin one of my favorite villains. So I stopped, and then I started reading recaps instead to find out what happened, which is a great way to watch shows that you hate. And look at pictures and watch certain scenes. Like, you read the recap and you go, oh, I would watch that scene. And then you watch the scene on YouTube the next day after the episode's out. It's great. It's a great way to watch shows. And then now, about season 7 on, I just quit caring, because it's garbage.
When it becomes hot garbage, you just kind of
Gotta
like,
go.
that's it. That's like with Supernatural. At one point, I'm like, hot garbage.
Yep.
RJ says, but Amazon is bringing back Lord of the Rings to ensure it regains status in the next decade.
But why are they bringing that back? Because of the success of Game of Thrones. It's
Well, they play hand in hand. I mean, there would be no Game of Thrones if Lord of the Rings hadn't happened. There would be
the way The way I like to judge pop culture is if other shows would quote lines, and you know how many shows have quoted Game of Thrones. Like Pretty Little Liars is quoting Game of
You
Thrones.
can't say that Game of Thrones put Lord of the Rings on the map. You can never say that.
No, but I'm saying it's why we're getting a show like Lord of the Rings because of Game of Thrones.
They just we'll see.
Like
I don't think that's I think you're partially right there.
Like if there was no Game of Thrones, would we be getting Lord of the Rings show? Probably not. Let's be honest, probably not.
There was a comment I wanted to read from Biggie and I just lost it. Oh, here we are. Theon has the best closing arc in the show.
Yes.
You guys are
Amen.
I think so.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
I almost
Oh,
cried.
Oh, this is a bad choice for a drink, though.
Yeah, I almost cried with Theon's death.
Oh, I sobbed.
I
Like a
almost
bitch.
cried.
We were all in that room. Y'all were on the other side of the room. I was over there sobbing.
I had to sit next to John, who threw up all over the stage.
Oh, here we go. Here we
Yeah.
go. Here we go. I'm not gonna let
What?
this down. You're never
Yeah,
gonna
he
let
threw up
this
all over
down.
the stage.
You threw up on the stage?
Keep in mind,
When Arya jumps out of the tree like Spider Monkey Ninja, John goes, "Bah!"
was it that time?
Did you really?
Which time?
He
You're
did,
a legend, John. You're an Ice and Fire Con legend. I
I
had
was.
no clue.
and then tried to clean it up.
I cleaned it up though. I cleaned it up. So here's
Where?
so
What?
I was. So here's the funny story. I was allegedly drunk, but I remember every detail from the show. Watching it, I cleaned up my own vomit. I literally took an hour nap and came back to the where everyone was hanging out afterwards. So I thought I was gonna get on like maybe the last minutes of the podcast, but he's already was done, and I'm like, so like there you go. I literally
Your
recovered.
podcast, Chloe. I was going to come in there and photo and face bomb in the back and be like, "Hey, look at this ugly fucking face! Woo! Ice and Fire Con 2019."
Well,
But you were done when we finished. You were done, and I was like, "Shit."
we
I
kept
missed
it real
that.
tight. I was amazed. There was so much to talk about, though. Holy shit! But that room, that room was just
Incredible.
buzzing with people.
I was cheering and everything.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a blast. Watching it with 100
makes-
nerds was crazy.
Like I kind of, there is a bar here in Toronto that there's like 2 bars that air it, and I'm like, I want to go just because I want to be around people that's gonna cheer, but I'm like, at the same time I like watching it at home, like so.
Jack in the Box says, "What do y'all think about the Pale Mare?" Catherine says, "I like to think that Arya will give up killing because she rode in on a dark horse and left on a light horse."
Boom, Catherine nailed it. I mean, I'll say it anyways, though, but Catherine totally nailed it. If you hearken back to like when Arya goes to Bravos, right, and she's in front of the House of Black and White, and we're in front of that door with one side black, one side white, and one side is obsidian black, it's the shiny black, and then the other side is weirwood, it's bone white. Arya spent seasons 5 and 6 murdering and falling deeper into like this vengeance and this dehumanized being, right? And Arya's character, especially in the books, not as much in the show, is very much so connected with the small folk and the common folk because she travels around and meets them all. Even when she's over in Bravos, she is meeting all these people that are just everyday normal people in Bravos, living their lives. Some that get drafted into wars, John, just living their lives. And Arya in season 7 and 8 is her choosing the white side of the door of House of Black and White, right? It's her choosing life. And season 8, her walking around among that rebel, tears streaming down her face after she tried and failed to save people, blood everywhere and just dust and ash covering her. When that horse comes and she it was a little interesting how they paced that. Yes, it was a weird 3-minute scene of her stroking a horse, but her getting on that horse and riding away was, I think, a decision for her to choose life. Like she said there in the chat that like she is choosing life. A lot of people put a white horse with Revelation 6:8, right? With that whole quote about death and what follows after the white horse, and the pale mare, which George in the books writes about the pale mare, which is a disease and sickness coming into Marine. Well, and that's very much Revelation 6:8, but this is not. This is Arya choosing that white side of the door of the House of Black and White, and this is her choosing life and her gaining her humanity back. She has done this whole season. She has been trying to get her humanity back, and she's having a taste of life again, right? She sleeps with Gendry. She gets to be with her family. She tries to protect her family. She calls Sansa super smart. You've never heard Arya do that. They're sisters. They fight. That's what they do. So Arya is trying to choose life again. And what that means for the end, I'm not sure. She's a child soldier, a child warrior, she's had to see and experience so much, and she's murdered, and she has all this blood on her hands. And what will happen in the finale with Arya? You know, will she be able to live in this world, this bloody Westerosi world, or will she not?
She's have to protect Jon. She has to do one more death, and that's to protect Jon and
Didn't
kill.
you think it was kind of funny the way they wrote it? And you know, here she is. She just survives this chaos, and she gets up, and there's a fucking horse standing there. Like, and then when she gets on the horse, I don't know if anyone else remembers these commercials. The what do you call them? The Old Spice commercials when the guy's like, "I'm on a horse." That's what I thought of. I'm on a horse with her, and I'm like, "Oh my god." They went there, but I didn't realize there was so much symbol. I mean, I knew there was something going on, but then when I talked to my panel and did different podcasts and looked at the Facebook, it really started to make sense when they were talking about the biblical references there. Let's go to Don't Throw to 20. Welcome. I'm glad to see it back on here. It says, I am happy this season is going to be over. It's been rushed, and as much as I'm enjoying it, I'm also happy it's going to end quicker and won't be longer. Carlito's Way says, I wish people stop saying lazy writing when they didn't like the plot. The script must have took hundreds of hours to make, not a lazy weekend writing session.
Sure.
Well, what about this? Instead of saying lazy writing, what if we say it was rushed writing? You know, you gotta keep in mind that they had to rush this thing out. I mean, there's no way around it, and I'm sure the heat and the pressure was on.
I mean, yeah, but they literally had an extra year to rush this writing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Should just change our marketing rate.
Had this plot since 2013. I'm just putting that out there. They were figuring out how to end it with all the plot holes they created. And yeah, it's not lazy writing. You're right. It's not good writing. I'm not saying it's horrible writing, but it ain't good writing.
Biggie says Arya didn't pass the NFL concussion protocol, and she won't be out Sunday night.
I saw that on a post somewhere. I think it was on Ice and Fire. Someone posted that maybe on Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
There was Trin had there was an awesome meme. We have so many memes on our Facebook page, guys. You got to go to our Facebook if you're not there.
Behind the Iron Throne. Get on there.
Posted them.
Club Beat It. Chloe, are you a part of Club Beat It yet?
I feel like I'm not in Club. No, I think I am. I'm looking right now. I think I'm in. I better be in Beat It.
I hope so.
Which meme you're talking about?
It's the one where General Goat, our General Goat, his name is Jimmy McGee. Big shout out to General Goat. We used to have generals in the Nerd Army because Army. He put up a great meme about Bronn. Until I get my castle, a dragon doesn't get to kill you. You don't get to kill you. Only I get to kill you. And then Jamie gets killed by a castle. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, well, that worked out well for Bronn.
Yeah, fucking Bronn. So pointless at this point. Let's see here. Catherine says, there's just no way the Faceless Men would just allow her to leave with no consequences. Speaking of Faceless Men, I just want to debunk this theory. There's no way this is real.
Here we go.
Jamie is not alive. He did not survive the giant castle that fell on him. He is not a Faceless Man. He is not Syrio Farrell. He is not Jock and Hagar. They're not connected.
Oh, he's dead. I agree with you. He's dead. I agree with you. But
enough. It's not happening.
We don't have time for him. We don't even have time to wrap up half the other stories. Yeah. It's not happening.
We do have time. We do have time for Syrio Farrell to be Jock and Hagar.
No,
Jonathan, do you know where Syrio Farrell / Jack and Hagar, who are the same person apparently, are right now, right? They're laying in a pile of ash, dead in King's Landing with your beloved Lannister soldiers.
Yeah.
They're yours now.
Not like the soldiers.
Yeah, they are. I love that Jonathan loves House Lannister so much. It's just really, even after almost all their house is gone, Jonathan is so strong. John, I'm so happy about you and your favorite house.
Alcohol is alcohol and podcasting don't go hand to hand, people. So just
but you know what does? Jonathan and the Lannisters.
No one really, come on,
Jonathan Stonemas Starklover, Lord Duckdaring of the Wicker People.
Actually, it's a Lannister lover. I think you got it wrong.
I think we're gonna have to switch his title.
Yeah.
You never saw the pictures I did. I put John's face on a Jamie Lannister. This is my best one. I have to find this and repost it now on Facebook, John. Do you remember this? Of course, you guys remember when Jamie was hammering Cersei from behind in the tower, right? I took John's face and put it for Cersei with Jamie behind him. It looks beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna have to try to post that on the Facebook. I'm such a piece of shit. Sorry, John. Oh, I gotta find that. It was awesome.
I can't wait. I'm gonna make so many John Lannister memes.
You have to.
Like.
I'll give you admin permission to post them. Just message me on Facebook when you ask for approval to get in the club. If you're not in the club already, I'll give you approval. I'll make you an admin.
Jonathan's gonna be in there banning me.
It's gonna catch on, man. He can't.
Yeah, it'll catch on. It'll be all over the internet.
Honorary beat hitter.
Especially since I'm coming Stark strong to Ice and Fire Con next year. Okay, to take out the phrase.
Yep, too late. Now you're Lannister.
No, I'm still Stark. My true fans out there know that I'm a Stark.
Wow, just like Sansa Lannister. Okay, Jonathan, I'm a Stark.
Canada will always be a Stark nation.
That's terrible.
Technically, Canada is the Wildlings, so.
No, technically Canada's the North. So
I'm from Michigan originally, not now. I don't live there now. I'm in the Crown Lands now. But before I was in the Crown Lands, I was in the North, and Michigan is Winterfell. And once you hit the bridge, everything bridge and around that, and like east and west. Yeah, you're a wildling, honey. You're not northern.
It's called north of the border. It's called north of the border.
No, the wall is where the bridge is. You're not.
Canada is the true North. I'm a Northman.
I've never met a Lannister wildling before. That's very interesting.
That's very interesting. Here's another meme that I don't know if you guys saw. Biggie said the best meme was Arya got the dick and she saved the world. Dany didn't get the dick and she burned everything to the ground. That was funny. Terrence says, will Drogon die and how? What do you think, Chloe?
I don't think so. I used to think that like all the dragons would die, but if Ghost gets to live, I think Drogon has to live because it's like a mirror. And I don't know, maybe Drogon's just going to fly off somewhere, you know? It reminds me of, if any of you have read Fire and Blood, the new Targaryen anthology history from George. It came out in the fall last year. There's this part where like the dragon, one of the dragons, Balerion, the Black Dread. So total parallel to Drogon because everyone kind of thinks Drogon is Balerion come again that we hear about in the books. But Balerion takes this little girl, Arya Targaryen. She climbs him to ride him, and he takes her off, like, and you don't know where, but it's basically rumored it's Valyria, which is where the Targaryens are from. And I'm wondering if we're going to see a parallel with like Drogon just like flying off in the distance in the end. And it's just like Drogon goes off in the distance and we never see from him again.
John, you think Drogon's going to live or die?
Live.
Okay.
Go and fly away.
Let's see.
I mean, Sean rides him to the north to be on the wall.
Trin left. I missed her. Oh. She said, good night, guys. I'll finish listening tomorrow. But she messaged me and I didn't see it in Facebook Messenger. She said, I finished working and I could jump in the show. I'm sorry I missed that, Trin. Damn it. Well, terrible. I could have. If she comes back, I'll see if I can get her in the show. Shit. I feel bad about that now. Let's see here. Oh, God. There's so many different things I can go through here. Bran controls Drogon and lets Dany plummet from the sky. Greek tragedy. That's kind of funny. There's so many different things. The phrase, Strange TV. The phrase must die next year. Jon Stamos, lover of Lannister, payer of
yes, J. Crew,
payer of debts. That's a good one. Now, Chloe, you haven't been on a podcast where we reviewed an episode, so we do it in sword ratings, 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the absolute shit. Could you please give us a sword rating for this last episode, The Bells, and any, thoughts you might have had on the episode, good or bad?
All right, out of 10? 10 swords out of 10 of them? All right, it's changed a lot. The first watch, I was like, that was a 5. It was so lame. The second watch, because I watched it twice. I watched it once regular when it came out, and then I also watched it without the sound on while I was working on writing an outline for our podcast. So, which again, much better. So when I watched it without the sound, I decided it was a 6. Then we recorded our review on it, and I'm at a 7. I give it a 7. Now here is where I get a little controversial. I think as a Game of Thrones episode, it was a decent episode. It was all right. About a 7. As a second to last episode of the entire series, it was a 5. That's how I feel. As a second to last episode of the series, I give it a 5. As an episode of Game of Thrones, I give it a 7. It did what it was supposed to do. The people that were supposed to die died. I didn't feel a lot of emotion behind it. Rushed writing. I get it. It just sucks that they were offered 10 episodes and they were like, no, we're going to do it in 6. LOL. Bye.
Yeah.
That's a slap in the face, especially like with all the different, never watch the inside the episodes. Just don't.
Do you have a, is there one scene in this episode that you would have loved to just rip right out and just thrown it right in the trash?
Ooh, one scene. Yeah. I would say probably the Euron Greyjoy death. I would have just let him die in the boat. I think it took you out of the moment. It was silly. It took away from the weight of the episode. You're supposed to be, worried, like, what is happening? She's burning everything. Everyone's burning, dying. I don't know. I know they wanted to have Jaime like do something, and I guess it delayed him obviously so that he couldn't get to the tower in time, but he still could have like just had the tower come down faster. Like if you're going to use cheap writing techniques, just do it then. I don't know. I feel like that scene just took me out of the moment. I don't care about Euron Greyjoy. He looked in the camera like it was The Office, you guys. Yeah. When he died, he was just like, I killed Jaime Lannister. I'm like, don't make eye contact with me, Euron Greyjoy. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I love that.
The scene that I would have loved to see ripped out was that first scene where the little girl is like, she's not eating, and that's that whole the Varys poisoning theory is coming out there. I could have done without that whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to what end? Like, to what end? And the only thing I can think of is that I don't know. I just don't see why that was in there. Like, okay, Varys maybe was trying to poison her, so he got burned. It happened to Dany.
That little girl was in the crypts with him too, so it's like they should have established this maybe earlier. She was next to him the whole time, and I just think maybe it could have been established. It couldn't have been established in the last. It could have been though. They could have just shown a side scene of Varys on Dragonstone last episode, like handing her letters to send. I don't know.
Don't Throw to 20 has a good question. What happens to the Unsullied army if Dany dies? Do they go back to Essos with Daario?
I guess Grey Worm is the person that's going to deal with that, right? So whatever he says goes.
But he's dying.
You think he's dying?
Because John's killing
I
him.
don't
Man.
think
I'm telling
so.
you. There's a look. They purposely showed him looking back and seeing John hold off his troops, and he was angry. And if there is a trial by combat, he's the natural person to fight for Dany, and John will fight. Like, I just think he's dying. Like, he should have died at. I mean, he should have died at episode 3. So he's living on borrowed time, in my opinion. He should have died in episode 3. He's on borrowed time. Okay, it's
Big E says Little Martha will save Westeros. Why did you say that?
Martha
name?
Queen.
Awesome. Martha is Varys' little bird. And I forget who mentioned, that the other night as well. Grey Worm is the franchise player now.
Yeah, apparently I feel like he's going to have a bigger role because he's like lived this long. They've had a lot of good, really personal shots with him. He lost Missandei. I mean, Jacob Anderson has done a lot of acting with his face, mostly because D&D aren't writing him anything, but he's done some really good acting with his face this season, right? Like that close up during what I loved was during episode 3 when they pulled the trenches up. And like that look on his face when he reached down to pull it and leave all of his men out there to die. And like, as you watch the whites descend on them, that episode, that changed me. I changed my mind on my rating on episode 3 after like the last 2 episodes. I was like, I feel like once we get to the end of this season, rewatching the whole season might change people's mind on a lot of things.
I also think I think that the limit how much he says, because I think there's that accent will break. The more he talks, the more I feel that accent is like, it's not his natural accent. And I think the more he talks, I think that it's very tough to do. So that's what I'm trying to say. I feel if he talks more, you see that breaking.
Okay. Don't Throw to 20. So I haven't been able to find a clear answer. Is it confirmed Varys was poisoning Dany, or is that just a fan theory?
He was trying to. That's straight up what that is. It's confirmed. I mean, he's asking her, "We'll try again tomorrow." And here's where that comes from. Like that stems from too. Is there's a line in a Game of Thrones where Maester Pycelle says, and I think it might be in the first season. I haven't watched it in a while, but he says, "Poison is a woman's weapon or a eunuch's weapon. Women and eunuchs and cravens use poison." Well, there you go.
Doesn't he? I think he says that to Ned,
Yeah,
doesn't
says
he?
it to Ned about the tears of Lys.
Yep. That is awesome. Yep. Grey Worm is the only person Danny trusts.
Yep.
So any predictions that you may want to any pop out there? Prediction. Do you think Danny's going to make it? You think she's gonna live?
No, not anymore. Hell no. After have you watched the show this season, Chris?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so either. I'm asking to make conversation. Littlefinger, okay, don't throw to 20 says Littlefinger said Chloe is a ladder or chaos is a ladder. Varys said chaos is a pit. Chaos ended up killing them both. Who was right about chaos?
Obviously neither of them because they didn't see that one coming in their chaos.
They're both dead.
Well, it's like that stupid line Littlefinger had to Sansa when he's like, "Fight every battle in your mind. Here, there, whether you're there, fight every battle." What shit is that? Get out.
How do you do
Get
that?
a job, Littlefinger.
Put your little finger to good use.
God.
Biggie says hot pie, king of Westeros.
He's got my vote, my Democratic vote.
Yeah, my prediction keeps changing. I went back and watched the last episode, and I don't know. I feel like Arya is going to either kill Danny or attempt to kill Danny, and I feel like John's going to interfere, and John's going to end up doing the deed. I would rather see John die, only because I'm tired of Jon. Like he hasn't done much, and I know that Jonathan Snowmoss loves John so much, and that was
He only wants John to die because of me.
pretty much.
It's don't even listen.
Boys, you're both pretty. Stop.
He wants me to cry on this podcast. He says if John dies, we're recording Sunday night. I believe he will do this. You will see a grown man cry, people, if John
John's
dies.
not gonna die.
Here.
His plot armor is way too thick.
He's not gonna die. He's done nothing this season, so he has to do something next episode. But he ain't gonna die.
That's the thing we were talking about. You know, he gets brought back from the dead, and he has to have some kind of purpose. What purpose is that? Because everyone's like, oh, he united the North. Yeah, kind of. I feel like Davos did that, you know, because John wasn't a very good talker.
Mm-mm.
John needs to get his balls back in the last episode. I agree, Big E. Strange TV said, thanks, Chris, John, and Chloe. Remember to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Yes, please do. That would be
Thanks,
awesome.
Strange. Smash that button.
That's awesome.
He was at the con.
Oh, that's
and
Justin, right? Okay.
he was the best. Like he's a true
man.
he's the best. He's the best guy. He's my boy now. But he's just a true fan, and his enthusiasm at that con made the con so much amazing because he was so excited meeting everyone. Like he wanted my autograph. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I loved it.
He was
enthusiasm.
He actually,
sold out.
one of my really good buddies. Saturday night, I was hanging out and I saw him hanging around at the dance, and that was fun. He was hanging out with a couple of my friends, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! He made friends." I love when people come to Ice and Fire Con for the first time. Chris, we were really happy to have you at Ice and Fire Con this year, so I'm just really excited that B-Tit came. I hope that B-Tit always comes now.
Well, I want to be on some panels next year, although I have to see what the schedule looks like. I know that you guys are selling tickets in June, I think it
I have
is.
heard Ice and Fire Con tickets will be on sale in June.
So I'm definitely going to promote the shit out of it, and I'm going.
Yes.
Is that-
It was a blast this year. It was really fun. There was just so much ridiculous crap this year that every year there's new memes and new chants, and that's what I love.
Yeah, the Frey thing was the funnest. Like that tourney made it so much fun when they started doing the Frey stuff. Like, I want to do a drinking game panel with Chloe. Let's happen. Like some kind of game panel. Like it has to happen.
Yeah,
like I want
because you came to the Drunk ASWAF and Drinking Game of Thrones panel last year, right? On Thursday, yes.
I was like,
yes, it was so fun. That was a blast. Haley couldn't come this year, but that was a fun panel. You guys will have to get on some panels next year for sure. We need it.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to be on more panels. I was on like 3 panels last year. I want to be on
Oh
more.
no,
So.
he's getting greedy. Don't ring the bells.
confidence. Well,
He's going to go in there with all the Lannisters he loves so much, and he's going to take FireCon.
Oh, he's gonna pay his debts.
I want to do a performance though, too.
I have a
That's
couple,
the one thing
I have a couple
want.
emails I'm going to read here, and then we're going to wrap things up. Let's see here. This is from good old Kenrick. Thank you so much for the email. This is titled John and Danny's Scene After Burning Varys. Because we talked about this on the podcast probably Tuesday, or it was a Tuesday or Monday. She just burned a man alive. At the very least, she is giving off negative tension. Who wants to have sex under these conditions? I don't even think she wanted to have sex. She was just testing him. And because I made the comment that I thought that she was looking for when she was talking to John in that scene after, Varys got burned. I thought she was looking for some kind of connection with John, like, because she has no family anymore. She has nobody over there that she really cares about her other than Grey Worm. And she's feeling very isolated. So I thought that maybe if John would have just given into what he obviously wants to do and be with her, and, they would have maybe thrown down, I thought maybe that would have kind of kept that whole, mass murder thing from happening. But maybe not. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Chloe? Do you think that would have been possible?
I mean, it could have, but they didn't write it, so no, it couldn't have. You know what I mean? I hate, I don't mean to be a dick. I just a lot of people always be like, alternate universe. What if this happened? And I'm like, that's great, but it didn't.
She
yeah,
snapped.
it is what it is.
Best.
She snapped. She lost everything. And then she heard the bells and she said, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's it? That's it? Fuck you. And then she just blazed it.
Amelia sells it with her eyes. You have to watch her facial expressions in
Oh
that.
my God,
Go
yeah.
back. She sells whole, her going her just attack. She sells it on her face. Like, she's borderline crying. Like, you see when she's on Drogon in the belt and she's borderline crying. Like, you see she's tearing up, and then it's like boom, she's crazy.
Shaking
like,
a little, and
it's
and that's some acting. A lot of people have always complained about her acting, and I don't agree, especially with her health issues she went through in the first couple seasons. She had brain aneurysms and had a lot of health issues that her acting the last 3 seasons has been extraordinary, and especially because she hasn't said it outright, but you can tell in interviews, like, people are like, how do you feel about the ending of Game of Thrones? And she's like, best season ever. She's not happy. She's not happy about her character.
She had like an awkward smile, like one award show when someone asked her, and she's like,
well, I mean, I get it. I lie about how much I like my job too to make my bosses happy. Okay, you got to make that money. But it sucks too, because she's drawn so much strength from Daenerys, especially with her health issues. She said in interviews, like how Daenerys was always there and was always strong for her with her health problems. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Because apparently it's not the way this character's going.
Carlito's Way asks, any chance Castor's kids are still alive and didn't die when the Night King died?
No.
I think that's all over. I think when he died, that was it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like that was so rushed. And I said it was going to end in 1 episode, which I was hoping I was wrong. And I did that as a joke. Like, I'm not good at predictions. If you listen to the podcast, I get shit wrong all the time. So, I said that as a joke that's going to end in 1 episode. And I thought this is how I thought season 8 was going to go down. Danny was going to, kick ass in Westeros, take some shit out. The Night King was going to go all the way down, or
the Trident.
Somehow the Night King was going to get all the way down to King's Landing, and all hell was going to break loose. And it was going to be like the last hurrah for the living. And it was like, oh yeah, here's the fight in Winterfell, and Arya jumps out of a tree and does Spider Monkey death scene, and she's like a ninja, which was cool. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it probably most of the reason I enjoyed it because we were with a bunch of nerds watching it at Ice and Fire Con, and we're all cheering and screaming. That was amazing. But I thought I thought the Night King was supposed to be more.
Yep.
I
was disappointed at the time. Now I look back and I'm better now about it. I don't really care now. In fact, actually, when all of you bitches were cheering about it, literally my face, I turned to my boyfriend and I went, what? I just said, what? And everybody was like clapping and screaming. And I was like, I'm confused. Is it over? Because I thought they were going to have to retreat because your heroes can't just win against the big bad. That's not how that goes. I thought they would have to retreat, maybe go south, go to River Run, go to the Iron Islands because Yara had said, oh, well, I'll go to the Iron Islands where it's safe and people can retreat there. So, like, it was set up for a retreat.
I thought that was going to happen as well because Yara, the show, said, or somehow it was said that they could, I'll hold the island in case, they have to, Dany has to retreat. So I thought, yeah, that made point. I thought that was foreshadowing that I actually caught on to, and of course it wasn't.
Yeah.
I can't get this shit right tonight.
I don't have an issue with them ending it at episode 3.
It was an awesome episode. Don't get me wrong. I mean, every episode I've seen has been like a almost a full feature movie. It's just that the more I watch it, the more I realize that the dialogue part is very weak. The facial acting of the actors is great. The emotion, like Jon Snow, really pulls off brooding and idiot very, very well. I'm going to get hate mail for that, aren't I? All right, my next feedback comes from Robert Waltman. Yay! I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to read this on like 2 episodes ago, but here we are. I listened to I'm going to read to where it kind of makes sense for this episode. I listened to a couple of podcasts and checked out the internet, and it seems like a lot of people are giving Benioff and Weiss a lot of grief regarding this season and season 6 and 7. I heard things like they're terrible and shouldn't be allowed near anything else, especially Star Wars, etc., etc. I think all that is very unfair. I challenge anyone to read 3/4 of any bestseller and then using their own imagination to finish writing the book.
Okay.
Imagine
pay me. I'll do it. Pay me. I'll do it right now.
Imagine the difficult. I thought you were getting royalties from HBO.
I do. I get shill money every week. That doesn't change that I want more shill money. Give me money and I'll do it right now.
That's a good point. I lost my place.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm awful.
Chloe, you're awesome. I love having you. Imagine the difficulty in trying to do something like that. Now, imagine trying to do that when there are 5 books out of 7 book series where the story and characters are extremely complex. George R. R. Martin himself is having problems finishing the story. If he's having a hard time, how is anyone else supposed to do it? There's a reason why the Oscars have 2 separate categories, one for original screenplay and one for the adapted screenplay. If the first 5 seasons was Benioff and Weiss's original screenplay and they screwed it up for the last 3 seasons, then fine. Blame them all you want. But that is not the case. I'm pretty sure that George R. R. Martin thought he would have the books finished by now, and that's why they decided to go forward. Whatever the case, I love the show and I'm enjoying it immensely and plan on getting the final 2 books when they are finally released to see how George is going to end it. Thoughts? Best regards, Rob. Thank you so much for the feedback, buddy.
The problem isn't that George didn't finish it. It's that D&D took book 4 and book 5 that George had finished and cut them into 1/4 of the material, didn't adapt 75% of the plots, and now they're at season 8, the finale, and they go, oh, why don't people like what we've done? We didn't have a lot to go off of. They did. You know what they did? They gave Sansa a rape plot in season 5, and then suddenly she's a scheming mastermind. They cut Dorne out, and now they're going, well, why doesn't it make sense that we don't have a Dornish prince? There are like 40 noble Dornish characters of House Martell you could choose from right now in the books. The problem isn't that. It's that they cherry-picked what they wanted to adapt. They wanted the shock value, like Jonathan said. Dany turning the bells, that's pretty much in the books they took. John Connington, a character from the books, has PTSD tics from the bells. It's probably his plot because guess what? He's in a position right now where King's Landing is probably going to blow up with him in it. They cherry-picked plots. George gave them the endgame in 2013. They're tired. They're done. That's what it is. It's that they're tired and done. They have the information. They could get any of the information from George they want. George doesn't have an issue finishing the books because of the same reason D&D have. George's issue with finishing the books is he has too many plot threads that he needs to bring together to somehow put the people in where they need to be in the last books.
I lose track of the books. I listen to the audio version, Chloe.
There are 270-something plot threads that need to be closed up by the end of the series.
I listen to the audio version, and it is. And I just don't have time to sit and read, so I don't. I get so lost. I've re-listened to the books like 6 or 7 times now, and it's crazy. I get so lost sometimes because there's so many different directions. Let's see.
Yeah.
If George R. R. Martin, this is from Strange TV. If George R. R. Martin doesn't have the next book done It's a travesty on his part for making or for marketing. He will never have a better chance to capitalize on the popularity. I gotta believe it's done or close to.
Yeah, the problem is 2016 he was done, and he had sent
Oh,
it
I
to a
remember that.
translator,
You're
a
saying that.
Chinese translator. Yep, that was this is recent news that came out a little bit ago, and then it wasn't done. I know people are all like that, and even George has said like, no, I don't have the books done. Like I don't have. People are always like, oh, what if he has both done? No, he doesn't have them done, and he said as much this week on his blog. He said, I don't have them done. If I had a Dream of Spring done, then that means I would have the Winds of Winter done, and you would have it. So he's not done. However, I do think he's getting closer. I think he had to change a bunch of shit because they adapted stuff to the show, and he said, oh crap, that's a plot hole. I got to figure that out in the books. I think he changed a bunch of stuff. I think he's still trying to figure out how exactly to close it so that the scene is ready for A Dream of Spring. The very last book, I mean, you can't have season 8 without all the setup of the last 7 seasons, right? Well, George has to really kill the setup for his book. And newsflash, season 7 didn't really kill it for season 8.
A lot of the popularity that George has gotten from the HBO series is going to kind of die out, or do you think that now that the show's over, like, do you think it's going to die out, or do you think it's going to continue on to his next 2 books?
I think that it will definitely inflate the book reading. I think a lot of people will start reading the books now that the show's over, because that's what got a lot of people into it in the first place. That's what got me into it. I said, oh my God, there's books. I got to read the books. I know they'll be better because that's how it is. The books are always better. Always. It's just we have the time to do it. And unfortunately I did, because here I am today. And I effed up. But I think people will really still reignite. And there's all these people that are like, if this is how it ends, I'm not going to buy The Winds of Winter. Shut up. Yes, you are, idiot. It's like, what is that? I'm not going to read The Winds of Winter. Yes, you are, you freaking crackhead. Let's be real. We're all going to read it. We're all going to be there in line at midnight. I've been to Harry Potter book releases. I will be there for George R. R. Martin.
Harry Potter book releases.
Oh my God, the midnight parties were always a blast.
So much fun.
Yeah. I think that he'll ride it out. If he releases it, yes, he needs to release it because marketing-wise, money. But I mean, if not, he'll release it when he releases it, and everyone's still gonna buy it. Everyone's gonna buy the A Song of Ice and Fire books because in 2 years, the successor show, the spinoff or whatever, is it going to last more than a couple seasons, do you think?
I don't think so. It's like, how do you catch
I don't think it'll last past 2 or 3.
5.
Especially when it's literally... So here's something interesting. You'll like this. It's about the Long Night, right? In the Age of Heroes. It's about the Age of Heroes that defeated the first big Long Night in history. We just watched a show about the Age of Heroes defeating the Long Night. I think they cut a lot out of the actual Long Night in the show because of the series. I think they want mysteries to be revealed in the new spin-off show. And I think they cut episode 3 short because of that. I think they didn't extend it. They didn't make it a 2-parter. They cut it because they want you to watch the spin-off show where they talk about the others.
The book and the show was the way that it was so medieval, nighty fantasy, but it wasn't in your face. Like, I always love Lord of the Rings. I mean, I'm a complete fucking nerd. I mean, my company's called Total Nerd Takeover Studios for Christ. However, what I liked about Game of Thrones was it kind of gently brought you into the magical fantasy part of it. Like, you had the others in the beginning, you know, the whites, and you're like, "Oh, what's this? What the fuck's going on?" Not entirely sure. And then they say, "Well, here's a deserter, and he saw these dead people." And you don't really hear anything about it for a little while. And then there's all this political shit happening at King's Landing. It's like, this is a good show. And then, of course, Sean Bean, who doesn't like fucking Sean Bean. And we all know what was going to happen to Sean Bean. It's Sean Bean.
Yeah, it's Sean Bean.
And I didn't start getting into the magic stuff till later. And that little bit more of the fantasy part. And it was just the right amount at the right time to get me. I'm like, oh, I got to read the books now.
Yes.
With this prequel thing that's going to come out, I feel like it's going to have to be magical pretty quick, and I don't know if that's going to bring in the same audience that they got before. I just don't think they're.
I don't know if they can pull it off. I mean, the good news is it's Jane Goldman, and she's a great writer, and it's a she. They haven't had a female writer since 2013. Just putting that out there. Anyways, Jane Goldman, though, hopefully she'll bring some magic of her own to it, but I'm not holding my breath. They didn't really shell out the big bucks for magic in this show. In fact, they kind of just forgot magic was a thing.
Strange
didn't
TV
want to deal
says,
with it.
Justin says, do Canadians even have books? I didn't think wildlings up there could read.
Oh, but Justin, thankfully Lannisters
And
can
John's
afford
got
books.
good buddies,
So
and they're all Lannisters.
yeah, John is a
Robert
Lannister
says,
himself.
yep, that's why we didn't get any backstory about the White Walkers. So we're getting some agrees. Ashley says, they got to strike against other projects from half the fan base, in my opinion. Why get invested in new characters when you won't get a satisfying ending? Let's see. Catherine says, well, I'm a librarian in Canada, so I can confirm we, in fact, have books here.
Yes.
Chloe,
Thank
from Don't Throw 220, Chloe says, should the last episode be titled A Song of Ice and Fire, or is that corny?
I think that there's a handful of choices you could go here. I think it'll be A Time for Wolves. A Time for Wolves was the original final book in the original trilogy when it was just a trilogy. George started this as a trilogy, and he was going to name the last book A Time for Wolves, which signifies, the Starks have kind of a comeback, and the ending ends up A Time for Wolves. I think it'll be called that. I think it's going to be like a left fielder. I think that's going to be a total Easter egg for people that know the lore of it. But I could also see them calling it A Dream of Spring. I don't think they'll call it A Song of Ice and Fire, but they could. That's an option. I don't think they've used it yet, right?
So we only have a few minutes left of the show live, and I want to thank my co-hosts here and go around the table. I want to say a big thank you to all of our fans who download the podcast each and every single week. Also, to everyone who can make it to us live at BehindTheIronThrone.tv, or when it's working, Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. And our new platform at GetVocal.com, which is also available on the App Store for Android or iOS. And I want to do a big shout out to the folks at GetVocal for making this platform available and making my life as a podcast/video show so much easier. It really, really makes a huge difference. I also want to say, if anybody wants to support us here at the studio, in the links, in the podcast description, we have Amazon affiliate links. We have Audible if you want to check out the Game of Thrones books, Ice and Fire, Song of Ice and Fire books through Audible. We get a very small commission. It really helps keep the lights on here in the studio. And also, I wrote a book, Quit Smoking Like a Boss. I haven't promoted it in a while, but if you want to quit smoking, or you just want to buy a $5 book that's really awesome, it's quitsmokinglikeaboss.com, or it's on Amazon. Just search for it. It's really awesome. So thank you guys so much. But, without the audience, without you guys supporting us and sharing and liking our posts and being a part of BTIT, being on the Facebook page and all your memes and all your comments and all your opinions, we would not have the amazing community that we do. So thank you guys so much for making this possible. You are the show. We love you guys. And thank you, Jonathan Stoma Starklever, for being on the show with your broody Stark. I really do like Lannister face, because they're your new drinking buddies, and we're gonna get some memes going, buddy.
Damn you. My true fans know I'm a Stark. You see the flag. There's no Lannisters here. It's just Stark and well, there's a Targaryen, but there's Starks. Okay, Stark for life. Thank you, Chris, for having me. Yeah.
Don't throw to 20 says, if Facebook is never working, YouTube and Vocal have been a safe bet. Yes, and Facebook has just been screwing me right in the ass. Also, I want a BTIT shirt too. I haven't been able to design. I'm not a graphic arts guy, so I have a real hard time. We had this really awesome guy that made our BTIT show art, and I can't put it on a shirt and make it look good. So if anyone knows how to design it and you want to email us with this awesome BTIT shirt design, BehindTheIronThrone@gmail.com. If your shirt design is awesome, I'll give you a free shirt. I'll even sign it if you want to. But yeah, help us make a shirt. It's really awesome. Chloe, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Please tell everyone where they can find your awesome show, and you are always welcome back on the show. And I'm going to have you back on soon. I promise. I have to.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I had such a blast with you and Lord Lannister Jonathan. That was a blast tonight. I'm glad that we created a new BTIT meme. Sorry, Jonathan. I'm not that sorry. You can find me on the internet. I am at Liza Arbor on social media. I have a blog, lizenarborgold.com, if you want to read some meta or some essays or theories about Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. And of course, you can find my podcast, Girls Gone Canon, on Podbean, on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play, Stitcher, Acast, all the big places you can listen to podcasts. We are doing currently a Song of Ice and Fire read-through, point of view by point of view. So right now we are on Jon Snow's chapters, all of them. We're doing just chapter to chapter, but only Jon Snow. And we're also covering the show. We come out with that on Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights we throw that podcast up, so go check out some of our show content. We've really had a blast. I really liked our Last of the Starks episode that came out
Thank you
last
so much for
week.
being on the show, and I want to thank you guys again in the audience. We'll see you guys next time. We'll see you guys, let's see, when is it going to be? Next Monday for our next episode of Behind the Iron Throne, reviewing the final episode. Holy balls. Hey guys, have a good night. Bye.
See you guys.
And that ends the recorded part, and we're still live for a few seconds. Let's see, Chris, I see you're wearing a Superman shirt.